Okay, so I have created something. I have something online called the Personalized Print Shop, and I really enjoy creating things as I see things in the media or on TV shows, just stuff that I'm like, oh, I wish there was something out there that illustrated this or that was available. And when it's not, I make my own. Or I've had people come to me whose dad just got his hot air balloon license, and they wanted to create T-shirts with the color and the design from the hot air balloon to like celebrate. Did something like that. So like lots of things. I create people who want something for whatever reason. I can create stuff for them. So during all of this awesomeness with this election cycle, my husband told me a few days after the election, he said, "You're taking this really well." And I said, no. I was like, I don't know if I'm in denial, which at that point, that was definitely a possibility. And if that were the case, my denial lasted 4 to 6 weeks up until now. But I think I also just had this weird, like, this isn't real. Like, this is not happening. There's no way, like, beyond the fact that, like, it just was an impossibility in my head. As things slowly started to come out, and it was like, okay, we had, like, this amazing voter registration. Where are all those votes? Things weren't making sense. The math wasn't adding up. And I was like, damn, this is not real. Like, this did not happen. Did I think or know for sure that somebody was going to do something about it? No. And that was my biggest thing. It was like, okay, sure. I mean, in my head, as an idealistic, sometimes idiot, I think, of course somebody is. Like, right will triumph. Like, you can't just steal this. You can't just steal an election and put this crazy stuff into place, take away our democracy, and all the things that have since come out, as we've watched everything unfold. This was just not an option in my head. And as you may or may not know, I had big plans because I knew, there was no doubt in my mind how the election was going to turn out. So I had prepared, like, I saved my I voted sticker. I was going to frame that sucker. And again, I didn't vote for her because she was a woman. I voted for her because she was an amazing candidate who I happen to just adore. But also, this was going to be a historical moment. First woman president. I was going to have that sticker framed with a date on it. I bought official Harris Waltz buttons because at the time, well, and still, like, money is very tight in our house. I'm currently looking for a job. My husband has just moved apartments at his job. Hopefully that's going to help pump some more money into our lives shortly, within the next couple months. But in the meantime, it's been tight. And if you've watched any of my other TikToks, you know that. So I couldn't justify buying a shirt, even though I really wanted to buy an official, like, Harris Waltz shirt, to commemorate this amazing time in history, right? So I bought buttons because they were 2 for $6, and I wanted an official piece of, like, campaign memorabilia, like, from the campaign, not something cool somebody else created. The amazing shirts that I saw all over TikTok, and I wanted one of everything, but I wanted something official, so I had my button. So in the future, I could be like, hey, like, this is from 40 years ago when we elected our first female president. Like, this, it's a piece of history, and you don't always see the historical moments, like, coming. It's usually in hindsight that it's like, oh, I wish I had kept that, or wish, I'd gotten something from that time period because that turned out to be, an amazing thing. This time I was like, nope, I got this. Like, this is happening. I got my stuff. I'm ready. And then it didn't, we didn't get the results we were expecting. So all of that to say, there is a way this all ties together. There is a creator on here. There are a couple that I love to death, and that are keeping things going, keeping me informed as, like, new developments happen in the election, the upcoming inauguration, all the things that are transpiring behind closed doors, like all the things people are seeing, hearing, speculating. I'm here for all of it. But she is awesome, and she calls us, her group, Team Blue Delulus, like delusional. And this has been something that's been going on since after the election. Like, now more and more people are seeing it and understanding it and believing, oh wait, this could be real, and this may not actually be what we think it was. And I'm just trying not to say words because I don't know what's going to get tagged as, something I shouldn't say. So, but she's awesome. I've tagged her down below. And so I don't know. Like, I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I feel like I want something to wear or to have that shows, like, we haven't given up. Like, this is not real. We're not going to just take this lying down. We are ready to, like, have the truth come out, have this country basically be saved from the future of God knows what, whether it's a dictatorship or whatever else plans are, in store. And I just wanted something. And so I reached out to Gretchen and asked if she would be okay if I created a t-shirt or something along those lines. She said absolutely, which I very much appreciate, because definitely would not want to step on her toes or take anything that she has created without permission. But she gave me permission. So here are a couple of images of, we have a hoodie, we have a t-shirt, and we have a mug. And so if you're a proud member of the Blue Delulu team, here are some things that you might enjoy or appreciate.
I swear, some of y'all like giving up so much, it's an edish fay. Like, it must be. It must be. Question, what did you think about today was going to change something? Okay? Like, look, I have my rabbit hole, right? Where I said, we're still trying to figure out what Ms. Ma'am was doing over the break. And I said, I wonder if they're going to broker a bipartisan deal so that there's no stickiness when it comes to today, because we need the system to progress. So even I was hoping for something different, but this was never the day that was going to change things. The only question about today was, were we going to get a speaker so that nothing else is held up? We wanted things to stay on schedule, and now they are. The likeliness of it being someone else, like, it wasn't really very likely. That's why I said it was my rabbit hole, and that's why I call them rabbit holes. It's just me talking. We still don't know what she was up to. We do know that Putinesca came out, and we do know that some of the state final counts would have come in, and so there are a handful of things. But yeah, this just means that everything stays on schedule. Okay, we want to see what happens on the 6th. All right. So if you come into my comments to talk about, that's it. Now I know it's over. Like, I don't know what you thought today was. I don't know what you thought today was. Are you actually following me, or are you just coming in the comments to say shit and piss people off and depress people? Because again, if that's you, you're lost and you don't belong here.
Okay. Blank. 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 This is for this election cycle. These should be filled out. They should have a link. These, if you click on this, it's going to pull up an actual page with signatures of people certifying election results. These are all blank. Blank, so on and so forth, all the way down. There are 30 blank states, which means that these electorates haven't been awarded anywhere. That means that this you need this paperwork. This is the part of it that makes it legal.
Okay, so I'm seeing your messages, both privately and publicly. A lot of you got a straight despair punch right in the gut today. I don't think it has much to do or anything to do with Mr. Johnson retaining his position. I hope not. I think we all could have seen that coming. We probably all should have seen that coming. I think this has more to do with what Hakeem Jeffries said. I saw the video. Listen, I felt it too. It made my stomach turn when he said what he said. But let me ask you this. What else is he supposed to say? Because anything else would make him sound like them. He has to say what's on paper until what? He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, right? we can lose hope if we want to, or you can go watch the videos I tagged. One of them has to do with VP Harris. The other one is DJT getting sentenced on the 10th. Remember that hush money case? That judge is going to sentence him before the 20th. Oh, and just so you know, he can't pardon himself. He cannot pardon state charges. He can only pardon federal charges. So whatever sentence that judge gives him, he has to serve it. Now, when he serves it, we'll find out. But whatever sentence he gets, that's exactly what he has to serve. So go check out those videos. But also, keep this in mind. The 3rd was never a day I was worried about. Matter of fact, I'm kind of glad they got it out the way so we can get to the real day that really matters, January 6th. I understand how you all feel. And so I open my comment section to you to vent, to communicate with each other, to console each other if you need it. But I am asking you just to hold on a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. We get to Monday, wherever happens, happens, and then we will act accordingly. So in the meantime, no matter what happens, stay hopeful, trust your gut, and please know you are not crazy.
All right, so now we're going to talk about some of the other points for the people who understood that today was not a day of expectation. All right, today we just wanted to make sure that they got a speaker. Okay, we were hoping it would be something we would like more, but in reality, this was the most likely final outcome. The thing we didn't want was for it to get pushed out so that everything else is delayed. We want things to stay on schedule. All right, and let's keep in mind that while dude might have slid in because the smelly one last minute changed his mind and gave his support again, 2 weeks ago he wanted his head on a silver platter and he wanted him out. So he's okay. Their relationship is rocky. It's not a strong one. Okay. Now let's talk about some of these other little pieces, because Monday is the day that we think we're going to see something interesting. Now, apparently, someone invited one of the former J6 survivors, one of the people who were Eaton Bay, I think one of the Capitol, blue people, and they've been invited as a guest to the one on Monday. Now, I mean, I could be wrong, but I would think that if you're inviting a survivor of a past insert you-know-what to the new certification, it might be because someone intends on bringing up that pesky little 14th Amendment and having someone speak about their experience during that day is probably something that will be brought up in the discussion when they're talking about the reasons for disqualification. Again, just me thinking, but I can't imagine why else you would invite that person. And we still don't really know why Miss Ma'am changed her schedule. If that wasn't one of the things to be worked on, which was my own rabbit hole, okay, that was a full rabbit hole. And y'all know, I warn you in advance on those. So that means we don't know too much of what was up, other than we know that some state counts would have been brought in. If there was something that was found, that would be an emergency. We know Putinesca came into DC. We don't know for who, but that was around the same. So there are a lot of things that are kind of like, we are not patient, but simmering. And for those of you who asked me about Hakeem Jeffrey's speech, yes. So I touched on it briefly, and I think I talked about it in a draft that I didn't post, of course. So the vibe I got from that whole side, I got a very unified vibe. I got a happy vibe. They don't seem worried. They don't seem like they're freaking out. They don't seem like they're scared. And these are people who should know more than anyone, because they have been there for things like J6, etc. They know how bad those folks can get. And they looked more comfortable to me than Team Red. I saw a lot of coordinated, not just colors, but like to the shade, the unity. There was a lot of that blue, a little bit of purple in there. And when they spoke confidently. They spoke in terms of bipartisanship. They called themselves the governing majority, because let's face it, they are the adults in the room. They referred to the incoming administration as just that. They didn't say the Dumpty team. They kept saying we're going to work with the incoming administration on, the betterment of lives and that sort of thing. But that use of verbiage stuck out to me because they kept saying that, and they kept saying they wanted to work with that administration on all these positive things that we know for damn sure the smelly one is not going to have on his plate at all. So I found that interesting that the way they were speaking came off to me as though they were not about to walk into a Dumpty term that was going to be an uphill battle for the American people. It didn't sound like a battle cry and a call to action to fight the incoming regime. I got a lot of very confident, chill vibes that were the adults in the room. And so, like I said, I'm waiting to see what happens on Monday, because that's the day that y'all should be expecting to see a little something kick off. Don't know exactly what it's going to be, but we know that a couple of executive orders have been enacted, and we know that the 14th Amendment is absolutely a possibility, one of the most likely ones, and them inviting a survivor of J6 to this one, to me, is just another little nod that, yes, someone's probably going to bring that up. And we will see what happens from there.
The big cry is coming. The big cry is coming. Can you feel it? I posted that video on November 4th. About a day and a half before we found out that the guy who's orange had won the election. And what I said in that video, the intuition, the gut feeling I was getting before the election, is 100 times stronger than it was then. If you like, you can go through my past videos and you can follow what I've stated is my belief of what's happening. It doesn't mean it's true. It's just my belief, because I've been compelled to share what I feel, and I'm not ashamed of it. And if it turns out to be that that's not what's really happening, then I guess that's not what's really happening, because everybody is wrong from time to time, and that's okay. We're big boys now. We're big girls. We're adults. We're not always right. But I'm going to share my intuition and what I'm compelled to share, because suppressing it is not only doing me a disservice, physically and emotionally, but it's doing those out there a disservice who agree and align with what it is that I'm feeling intuitively. And it is still my belief that that big cry is coming soon, and that the 48 to 72 hours from the time I posted that video, that the other person that was in that race was the one that actually won. I wholeheartedly believe every word I said in that video 2 months ago. And if you want to go watch it, if you haven't seen it, please do. Because maybe you align with what I said 2 months ago, and maybe you still feel the same way like I do 2 months later. The big cry is most definitely coming. Peace out.
You're absolutely right. We're not deniers. We never were deniers. We don't deny anything. Ladies and gentlemen, if he won, he won. I've been saying that since day one. If he won, he won. All we're asking is for them to prove that a liar didn't lie and a cheater didn't cheat. That's all it is. And whatever happens on January 6th, we will act accordingly. But you're absolutely right. He never said it was either of those words. He's saying what's on paper. Yes, guys, I'm human. I felt that gut punch too. And I really shouldn't have. My goodness, what are we doing, y'all? Come on, keep that hope up. Keep that hope up. Go watch that video by Empress. She said it. He's right, though. We're not deniers. What we want are the logics to make sense. What we want is the math to make sense. That's it. And when it doesn't, we're going to call it out. Thank you for posting this. And go watch Empress's video.
So this is an appreciation post. I just want to say thank you to Raw Cognizance, the Empress CJJ, Gretchen's Got Questions, and Gia Prism. The despair and the hurt I felt November 5th, well, actually no, the morning of November 6th. I woke up, I was part of that 4 a.m. club, and I woke up and was like, nah, this isn't right. This isn't right. And I remember when I went back into my second sleep, like my ancestors kept saying, just wait, hold on. It's not over yet. And people around me were like, you're crazy. You're like, you know, those Jan 6ers, or you're like, you know, I couldn't bring myself to get back on TikTok. Like, I just couldn't bring myself to get back. And then a couple of days later, I get back on TikTok and I see Empress, and she, you know, she's talking in code and she's making me feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. Somebody else thinks it too. So I interact with that video. And as I scroll through my timeline, Gretchen comes up and I'm like, okay, it's not just me. So as I keep interacting, then Raw Cognizance comes up and I'm like, oh my God. So I have been in their comment section, like in their videos, doing everything I can. And this post is just an appreciation post to say thank you guys for not making me feel crazy or delusional. And even if nothing happens Monday, which just all of the dominoes falling, and after MTG said what she said, I highly doubt it. But even after, if nothing else, I'm finally at a place where I'm ready to face reality and not be terrified of it and not be like scared. I'm at a place where I'm like, all right, if we gotta fight, we gotta fight. If it's gonna be, you know, Hunger Games out here, it's gonna be Hunger Games. But I'm ready now. And I feel like I have more of a community because you guys have been there, like spearheading the ship and letting us know that we're not alone. Because when you're by yourself and everybody else is giving up, it really makes you feel like I'm delusional. But I'll gladly and proudly say I'm a Blue Lulu, and I'm here for it. And I'm here for Monday. I got my wine, I got my popcorn, and I got my patience. I'm ready, guys.
Oh, yes, darling. I know about the Electoral College count. I did a video the other day. And yes, I saw that it's still like half empty. And one of my friends did send me a list because my question was, how long does this usually take for them to fill that in? It's very interesting that it's January 3rd now, and it's like half of it is empty. It also doesn't say what the total counts are. It doesn't say, you know, win, lose. It you know, it's just very interesting. And apparently, historically speaking, while sometimes it does take a while for it to be completely filled in, it's not usually that empty. I'll put the video that I did yesterday in the caption. It's like half of it. And there are reasons why such a thing would be if there were concerns in those states with either the electors themselves, the tests themselves, or if they had some form of suspicion or evidence of something that would keep them from submitting that final tally that we need. So again, I keep saying Monday is a day that's going to be interesting because that is questionable. a J6 survivor was invited as a guest. And I find that very interesting. I can't imagine someone inviting someone to such an event that would be traumatizing unless it's because they might be asked to speak on their experience. And the only reason they would be asked to speak on their experience on that other J6 day would be if someone intends on bringing up the 14th Amendment. And like I said in the other video, the executive orders are in play, and we'll see how and where those fall in line, because those are attacking the international agents and issues. And yes, I saw the Department of the Treasury just issued another sanction, this one on a Chinese company. And remember, last week, they issued sanctions on Ruski and Iran Away companies, and Chinese Takeout tried to hack the Department of Treasury workstations while they were issuing those sanctions. And this week, wouldn't you know, there's now going to be some sanctions on Chinese Takeaway too. So this is why we keep saying, look at the headlines, look at what the three-letter agencies are doing. Pay attention to the stories that they're bringing back up right now. They're bringing up the pipe you-know-water again, okay? They're bringing up that app and the map and the questions again, okay? They're bringing up first boyfriend and the fact that the three-letter agency has a file on him, and he has officially been called a risk to national security by the sitting lieutenant general, I believe, on the title there. So we've got a lot of pieces that are coming out. They're not making massive splashes, but you're hearing them. And if they weren't valid, if we were crazy and Delulu, then Fox wouldn't be talking about it as a possible thing that could happen. Okay? If they're acknowledging it, it's possible. Because, you know, they will do everything they can to make everyone think that there's no way and nothing that anyone can do. And on the other side of that, I just, again, want to remind the folks who are like, I can't wait to tell everyone that I'm so happy I was right that no one saved us. Like, you do realize that you're basically saying you can't wait to celebrate like just the end of everything, because it's not really a win. You're not owning us. These people are coordinating. They're spreading kabooms throughout the place right now. We're catching them, but they're transporting booms, and they want to have a party the day before because they have every intention of creating the chaos and damage that will be required for that dude to step in, and the instant he's done swearing, he'll go, martial law. And that's it. And we'll be dissolved the same day. It will be the 20th, will be the last day of America if he actually goes in. And that's, and watch, the same people who want us to say that are going to say, well, don't say it like that because that's depressing. Well, that's the truth. So we're over here trying to stave that off. But, you know, if that happens, sure, you can tell me that I was wrong and told me so. And then good luck, 'cause I don't know what you plan on doing after that. That was all you waited for, was the ability to say, ha, you were wrong, no one saved us. Yeah, okay, now I'm fucked. We're all fucked. But hey, at least you were wrong about us being saved. Like, some of y'all are just... I think some of y'all need to go with first boyfriend to wherever he's going to run away to.
Hi, Republicans. You know what's weird? It's almost January 6th when Congress will certify the election of your terrible candidate to the office of the presidency. Now, like how you felt with the other guy last time, I think this guy's awful. I can't fathom how he convinced enough people to vote for him to win. I think he's dangerous for the country. I'm angry and I feel betrayed by my government. Just like you 4 years ago. But I'm not gonna punch a cop or throw a riot shield through the Capitol window because I'm convinced that I have the power to stop the certification of the election. And I'm definitely not gonna shout that the vice president who I just voted for a couple months ago should now be hanged. I'm not gonna break into the floor of Congress against the shouts to stand down by armed Capitol Police because I definitely think that's illegal. And if I did, I wouldn't be surprised if I was later charged with a crime. I have no interest in doing any of this because nobody who I voted for has suggested I do it, or held a rally to protest the peaceful transfer of power and then stayed silent for hours while others commit acts of violence, all while dressed head to toe in that person's merch. My candidates never made me feel that comfortable with violence, and my party has never spent weeks trying to spin that violence as everything from a tourist visit to a secret government psyop. The channel where I get my news hasn't paid out hundreds of millions of dollars for lying about the news it gave me, and the person I voted for isn't a convicted felon ironically demanding justice. That's the difference between your January 6th and mine. As frustrated as I am with my government, at least I don't think the answer is taking one of their podiums.
So come down this rabbit hole with me. My friend Kate did a video about this website, and she did an excellent job. Please go watch it. It's tagged. Click the arrow. Here's what I have found out about basically everything she talked about, but I'll try to be succinct. So we know that the results of what happened on November 5th were confirmed in the middle of December, right? What is that? The 15th, 16th, 17th, around that date, right? Well, there's a website, an official government website that's supposed to house those results. And when I go to that website, as of right now, on January 4th, there are a total of 21 states whose results were either white or have not been submitted. The reason why I'm saying white or not submitted is because there is a Reddit talking about this. Something is wrong 2024. And on that Reddit, there's a post saying, and Kate didn't mention this was full. This was filled out. Every state had their points submitted. And then recently, 21 states had their points white. And let me read to you some of these states, because these are some major EC states. California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Nevada, Wisconsin, and the big one that I was looking for, and it is on here, North Carolina. And that's just to name a few of the states that have had their points white. Now, I thought to myself, okay, maybe there's a glitch on the website. Maybe it will be filled as we get closer to January 6th. It's the 4th, 2 days away from the big day where Congress comes together and confirms who won. And so I also went to ChatGPT and I asked, well, is this unusual? Shouldn't this website have these points filled out? And ChatGPT said, yeah, that's unusual because the deadline was the middle of December, and that was the day for this all to come in. So for it not to be filled out 2 days before Congress reconvenes, that is odd and concerning. Because either way you look at it, either these results were filled in and then they were white, or they were never filled in. Either way is odd and concerning. And so I want your thoughts on this. I would like you to either go watch the video or go to the website yourself and do your own research. It's called archives.gov/EC/2024. Do your own research, break it down, and then come back to give me your thoughts, because she's right. This is odd. I'm not going to force my opinions on anything. I don't want to assume anything. I'm just doing what I always do, pointing out inconsistencies. We're going to find out once and for all what the hell is going on January 6th. And afterwards, we will adapt and proceed accordingly. So stay hopeful. Trust your gut. And no, you're not crazy. Go watch Kate. She's awesome.
All right, it is January 3rd. This is a very exciting day, but we've been through a lot of excitement, haven't we? It's been just like a lot of adrenaline. So of course I've been asking my guides, trying to get more intel, like what's going on? We got January 3rd, we got January 6th. There's just, big decisions being made on these days. Today is the day that all of the rule makers convene in the giant hall of rulemaking in the realm. And they're in an unusual situation because the body is divided almost evenly between a red and blue team. And while one team has a very slight majority, it's only a majority by 2. And it's just not enough for them to have any kind of a sure thing when it comes to voting on who the leader of their red body is going to be. And so we find ourselves in a situation where, you know, cards in the air, what's going to happen? So I was tuning in this morning, was it this morning or last night? And I was just shown this image of people like crawling up the walls, climbing the walls. Now, what does that expression mean? Isn't that an old-timey expression? Climbing the walls? Someone tell me in the comments. I can't remember what it means. But it was a funny image. And then I also saw an image of some people being escorted out of the body. You know, like guards coming in and saying, you gotta go, you're acting up. Sometimes the guides are funny. So is that literally gonna happen? I mean, I'm not predicting that literally happening, but I'm just sharing with you some of the dreams I'm having. Because they're funny, and also because, who knows, there might be something to them. I'm wearing my new winter hat that my lovely sister got me. Just wanted to show it off. So it's pretty cold here, even though I live in a warm state. It's very, very cold. And it's gonna get a lot colder if certain states lose power, which, you know, Raw Cognizance was just talking about this, how Canada, no, not Raw Cognizance, Gretchen's Got Questions. She's an awesome creator. I suggest you follow her. She was just talking about how Canada supplies much of our oil for heat, especially in the cold states in the northern part of the country. And if we have a breakdown in our diplomatic relations with that country, which seems imminent if the Naked Emperor gets the seat, we're going to have some power problems, and we really can't have power problems in this cold weather. You know, I used to live in one of those cold states. I used to live in Illinois. I grew up in Chicago, and you can't really manage without the heat. It's not really an option. So we have 2 days, right? We have today, the 3rd, and then we have the 6th. These are 2 really important dates that people have been waiting for. And apart from the images I got today about climbing the walls and being escorted out, I got earlier delay. And you know, I got this, you know, over, I don't know, 5 weeks ago, I got delay. And I wasn't sure. They said basically that many of the steps that need to be taken for the installation of the ruler were going to be delayed. And so at first I thought it might mean that the electrical college would be delayed, but that apparently wasn't. Although I did pick up intuitively that we weren't going to know exactly what went down with the college until later. And so I don't know if that's the case. Or maybe I was just wrong in interpreting it the way I did, because when you get information intuitively, it's not always really specific, right? Like sometimes you get these crazy visions like people being escorted out, and what does that mean? And in this case, I just got delay in the process. And so it makes me wonder if today there's going to be a delay, which looks likely given the situation with the red team leader being kind of up in the air, like people aren't really in agreement as to whether or not they should pick whether they're going to pick MJ from Louisiana. So what can we do? I just saw a great vid by Lotus Moon where she was dancing, playing this really nice music and celebrating. And I was like, yes, that's it. That's the energy we need. So we want to be having a very positive, high vibration visualization for the realm. We want to see everything transpire in a peaceful, productive way that will allow us to have an outcome which is in the best interest of all of the people throughout the realm. So I think today would be a good day for all of the dreaming women throughout the realm to light their candles and burn their herbs and say their prayers, affirmations, incantations. I think today would be a good day for people to play music and dance. I know it's not time to dance in the streets yet, but why can't we begin to visualize ourselves dancing in the streets? And you know, I pulled some cards yesterday, and I don't normally do this, but my mother did this. My mother read cards, and she passed this year. And so since she passed, I found myself wanting to do the things that she did in memory of her and to honor her, because she tried to teach me to read cards for years. And I have read them for people, but I just never took it as seriously as she did. And so I'm starting to, okay, let me start doing this more seriously like my mother did. She was very, very good. So in honor of Michael, my mother, I did a little card pull, and I did a card pull with the cards that I made for my mother that she then, I got back from her. And I saw this windy road, which, the windy road card indicates that, it takes a while to get to our goal. I know nobody wants to hear that. And I also saw that there was a woman involved who was kind of immature and had a lot of issues, who was actually going to be instrumental in making this happen. And I have some theories about who that could be among the characters in our story. But I thought that was interesting, that we maybe might want to look out for somebody. And now keep in mind that in previous chapters of this story, what the Dreaming Women shared was that the FAFO event was going to be really instrumental to the resolution of questions that people had about the joust. And so we shouldn't be surprised if the outcome is determined in large part by the followers of the Naked Emperor fighting amongst themselves and coming out and revealing secrets. And so I wouldn't be surprised, given what the Dreaming Women have said, if we see, not only infighting, but if we see really important revelations coming from the people that you would think would not want those revelations to come out. And remember, this is just a story that I'm telling. I'm not a journalist. I don't pretend to be telling the news. I'm also not claiming to be able to predict the future. I am an intuitive, and I'm a storyteller. But I'm just picking up a lot of animosity in the red team, and so this image that I was shown of the people in the Great Hall crawling up the walls and fighting each other and escorting people out, it was really reflective of all of this animosity that's been building up for the last 7 weeks. And then also this week we had that very ugly, tragic, violent FAFO event, which was quite symbolic. And I want to thank everyone who's been tagging me in all of these events. I've been kind of nervous to respond to things because I'm, been under, in this clock situation I've been. So, but I am excited about some things that I've seen. If you need a little boost in your optimism, go check out Linda G, the Comanche Psychic. Also, go rewatch videos by Dana Stovern, The Magic of Somatic Money. Make sure you listen to Gretchen's Got Questions. And just remember, there are many, many dreaming women who all feel hopeful. There are many of us. If you have reasons for being hopeful or people you want to recommend, creators that you watch, please put it in the comments so we can all benefit.
Oh, so that's what got some of your panties in a twist. Him saying that there were no deniers? Oh my gosh. Okay. There aren't any. Because deniers are people who wake up one day and say, I feel like that wasn't fair, so now I'm just going to throw a fit for the next 4 years because my feelings hurt and I think it's not fair. And I'm going to hold on to this feeling no matter how little proof there is, no matter how many court cases are thrown away, no matter how many reports say everything is fine, I'm still going to deny it. Yeah, no, he's right. We don't have any of those over here. So, again, I don't know what you guys are tripping over.
Daily reminder in case you lost hope. Here's a recap of everything the leaders of the blue team have said over the last few weeks. Senator Cory Booker said, never assume loud is strong or quiet is weak. It's usually the other way around. Governor Gavin Newsom said, be patient. What happened will be revealed, and it won't be revealed in the hours or days after November 5th. There will be a deeper understanding over time. Barack Obama said, what happens when the other side has repeatedly and abundantly made it clear that they're not interested in playing by the rules? It's a problem. And when that happens, we fight. AOC said the following, what happened is so massive that it's going to take just a second. It's coming, but it's going to take a second to share. And finally, Vice President Kamala Harris said, nothing can blind us from the blessings that we have and have yet to create. I'll see you in 2025. You're not crazy. Trust your gut. Good morning. I wanted to change up the content for today. People are anxious, as you should be. People are scared, as you should be. But we all have to remember that before we can do anything else, before we can help anybody, we have to be okay. We have to take care of ourselves. And as of lately, I love saying this because I go to therapy, and my therapist likes to call when I have anxiety or I get anxious. She calls that your inner child. And as of lately, I've had to take care of that inner child. The inner child in me has been, let's just say, he's been restless. And the adult in me has had to take a step back and reaffirm, assure, nurture that inner child. And so I say to all of you, days before game day, January 6th, take a mental break. Just take a step back. There is literally nothing you can do at this point. You can speculate. We can continue to play Scooby-Doo and find Easter eggs about what's to come, and that's fun. That gives us a nice sense of hope to get us through the next day, right? But we all know in reality, and this is something we need to talk about now, that other side of the coin is a possibility. They might just swear him in. Now, it's no secret. He's a liar and a cheater, and the numbers prove it. And I would like to promote a creator, Piano Girl Nicole. She doesn't care about the results. She never cared about who's going to be sworn in, if things are going to be done. That's not her goal. Her goal was always, this man is a liar and a cheater. Here's the proof. So please follow her. Go follow her. Check her out. Tell her I sent you. But anyways, we need to be real. I think after January 6th, if he does get sworn in, the content on this page will need to change, because I still want to promote hope. Now, what that content looks like, I don't know. I might need to take a step back, refocus, re-strategize, and find a different path. And I'm talking to people about that right now. I have friends and people in high places that help me stay grounded in that instance. But if the other side of that coin happens, we're going to have to shift our perspective, because that means the people in charge, the government, would have failed us. The people who have sworn on the Bible to uphold the Constitution basically just threw it out the window. And they have betrayed God and their people. And therefore, we will have to find a way to look out for each other. I don't know what that looks like. Give me a few days, maybe even a week, if he gets sworn in, to figure that out. If he gets sworn in. But don't worry, I'm not going nowhere. And I say that from a perspective of, I'm going to be hopeful. I'm going to be pragmatic at the same time, grounded. But everything that I talk about is real. I hate that they use conspiracy to describe what is constitutional law. St. Gal, another awesome creator in this amazing community that we have, posted a video about the archives we talked about the other day. He's awesome. He broke it down. Please go watch him. I tagged him and tell him I sent you too. But people in this community are doing their due diligence to continue spreading hope, but they're doing it in a way that's grounded. And I like to keep doing that, no matter what happens. So today, I request, I encourage, I suggest, you don't have to do it. There is going to be hope to be had. But as for me, my content will shift because it's fun speculating and reminding people that the liar is a liar and the cheater is a cheater. But I think if he does get sworn in and we enter a restrictive oligarchy, we will need to find a different path to have hope in. And that will come. Just give me a minute. I just need a minute to figure out what that is. But we'll figure it out. So I encourage you all to check out that YouTube channel. Go watch it. On the profile, Raw Cognizance, there's a video out talking about game day. But stay in contact because we might not have this platform after the 19th. I'm hoping we do. It would be nice. I built a good following here. But depending on what happens on January 6th, because let's just say we're right, I hope you realize there's going to be pushback. A lot of it. We're going to have to roll up our sleeves eventually. But I have to ground myself today, work on that inner child, and take this mental health break. And I hope you guys, if you're going through what I go through, you do the same thing. And we will reconvene on the 6th, and we will go from there. Now, in the meantime, the community's not going nowhere. Take care of each other. Reach out to each other. Use this time to console each other, have conversations, legit conversations. Don't put each other down. That's not what we do here. Remind each other that you're still here. We're still here. And we're going to keep going forward. So this is a long video. I'm going to cut it off here and let you guys go about your day. I appreciate you for watching. And always know, stay hopeful, trust your gut, and you are not crazy.
There's a saying, united we stand, broken we fall. And what more would the people running the shit show right now love more than if we fell? Why do we want to give them what they want? Why are we pitting each other against each other? Why is it so wrong to have hope for something? That's what manifestation is. That's the law of attraction is. Positivity brings positivity. Negativity brings negativity. The law of attraction, literally, you get what you put out. So why would you want to put out the negativity? Why would you want to put out the anger, the hate? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you want to do those things? And telling people who actually have genuine hope and good feelings, like, there's not many of us out here. So telling us to lose it, to get rid of it, any of that, what good is it doing? What good is it? Because there are people out there that are distraught, they're broken, and the only thing keeping them going is seeing people like me and others, especially here on TikTok, have some hope, have some light, have some joy. There's nothing wrong with that. Personally, with my spirituality and stuff, when I see that people are getting so with each other, it just means that it's about to go down. It's about to happen. But there's some force not wanting it to. So yeah, you gotta get over that. You gotta keep up the good. Like, why are we doing this? Hope. joy, peace, prosperity, want those things will come to you. Mwah.
All right, let me clarify a few things because today is one of those days that so much ish is happening that it's just one video after another, and sometimes things aren't clear. So let me clarify. Talking about the 10th, I was not saying that he can't escape going to jail. That's not what I was saying. I was saying he can't escape the sentencing itself. Now, will he be incarcerated? Probably not, for the same reason that all those bigger cases were dismissed. You can't go after a sitting president. You can't put him in jail if he's in office, at least not for one of those cases. So that's not really a surprise. And I just wanted you guys to pay attention to the headlines and to pay attention to the things that are still moving and happening. So I wasn't trying to say he's going to jail. That wasn't my message. Some of these things you guys kind of have to stop hoping for. Like, some of these things are not going to be the thing 100%. Like the people who think that Miss Ma'am isn't going to certify, like, no, that's not going to be the thing. Or, you know what I'm saying? People that thought today was going to be something. No, that's not going to be the thing. Or folks that are thinking he's going to go to jail and no, that's not going to be it either. Okay. If there's going to be something, it's most likely going to be on Monday. Now, about the other thing that had a lot of confusion was some of the things that Hakeem Jeffrey said. And again, it's interesting to me because I heard different people speaking and I heard different things. And it's interesting that the takeaway for a lot of you were the two of the lines that he said and almost nothing else. So I just want to remind y'all context and who he was talking to. He wasn't talking to us. He wasn't talking to the American people. He was talking to the red side of the room, okay? And making a point. The point being, we are not you. We are not like you, okay? That was the point. That was the takeaway. Because the fight of if this is actually happening or not is not, that was not for today. And the way some of y'all want to see somebody stick their foot in their mouth and like kick this shit off before it's appropriate is endlessly, ceaselessly frustrating. Yes, I know you're impatient. Yes, I know you want to see something happen. Yes, I know you need something or you're going to give up. But like, that need doesn't mean that we should fuck up the whole thing because you want to feel better right now and you don't want to wait. You want to see Hakeem Jeffries go in there and give him the finger and say, haha, we know everything. And like, we can't. You want to know why we can't? Because in 20, they fucking ruined it for everyone. Because of 20, we can't even say, hey, look at the math, because they all go, hey, you sound like us. Our own people go, you sound like them. And we have proof, but we can't even say that. So the legislators can't say shit, but especially when they're talking to the red people directly, okay? When they talk to us, there are things that they have not said, and I believe that that is intentional. And even today, he didn't say free, fair, all that, okay? He just said we don't have deniers, which I would agree. We don't have wahoo deniers over here that are operating off of their feelings and what's not fair. And then he said, oh yeah, your guy will be 47. Uh-huh. The same way, you know how some of these videos at the end, I go, yeah, you're right. Yeah. You know how I talk to friends of mine who are like, what do you mean give me 30 days? And I just say, just give me 30 days and we'll circle back and talk about it. You're absolutely right. Nothing's going to stop it. You're right. Mm-hmm. And then they get all nervous because you're just smiling and nodding at them. And they're like, wait, you're supposed to be arguing? Okay, that's what that is. All right? Some of y'all need to learn context. Okay? That is not the time to kick off the shit. If there's shit to kick off, it would be on the 6th. And like I said, if for some reason we have been abandoned by our entire government and they are willingly going to let the country end on January 20th, because that's absolutely what will happen if that all goes through, okay? They're not moving booms around the country for no reason, okay? They aren't trying to bring their people out a day early for no reason. It's not just for ego and for fuzzy times. They are reenacting something that happened in schmazzy Germany so that they are going to create chaos and riots the day before so that on the 20th, he can declare martial law like he said he was going to do and dissolve, and that's it. And the empire's gone. And it's just run by Ruski, Chinese takeout, and I ran away, and a bunch of billionaires. That will be it on the 20th. So for everyone who's like, how do we prepare? I can tell you this, with that plan, there's no need for preparation because they're just going to go straight to the shitter. There won't be any like transitions and no. It'll be immediate, like just free for all. So if our government knows that, sees that, and is letting it happen, then like I said, I'll see you in the streets with my hat and my pitchfork. But the people who are like, yeah, I can't wait to be like, I told you so, it's the end of the empire, we're all gonna die. Like y'all are the super special ones right now. I don't know why you're cheering for that. That's not the thing to cheer for. But yeah, just pay attention, watch the headlines, watch the articles, watch the agencies, watch what's going on with government documentation, with investigations, with sanctions, with seizures, okay? And we will just see what happens come Monday.
Are you an American feeling helpless right now? Well, I have a list of things that you can do between now and January 20th to prepare for a Trump presidency that don't involve participating in election denial conspiracy theories. And I also have a list of things that you can do between now and January 20th to prevent Donald Trump from taking office. First thing you can do to prepare for a Trump presidency is to stock up on family planning medication, not just for you, but for every single person you know that could get pregnant right now. Number 2, you can write your state board of education and tell them no to Christian-based curriculum and Bibles in schools. You can also write your own form letter that you can share with other people so they can send in their own letters without having to write it from scratch. Number 3, you can write your congressman and tell them to vote no on eliminating the Department of Education when Trump finally calls for that vote. Number 4, if your school board hasn't met yet for January, get a group of parents together and attend your school board meeting for January and tell them that you have your eyes on them and that they need to say no to any Moms for Liberty influence. And if you're in Texas, tell your school board to vote no on using Bluebonnet learning curriculum. Number 5, stay far away from the Capitol or any rallies that Trump is holding in DC on January 6th. Just stay away. Just stay home. Lock your door. Don't go. Number 6, for the love of all that is holy, please stop spreading election misinformation on social media. Work with facts, not conjuncture. Stop listening to psychics and mediums and astrologers that are telling you they have predictions about what's going to happen on January 6th and January 20th. Leave that all behind. Work with facts. Stop spreading misinformation. Number 7, you can start preparing for an emergency situation, whatever that may be or whatever that might look like for you and your family. And you need to come up with a plan for when something goes down so that your family knows what to do when the time comes, if the time comes. Number 8, you may not think it's important and you may not think your voice matters, but we need to continue to stay loud and obnoxious on social media and on digital spaces about Donald Trump and Elon Musk and JD Vance and all the billionaires and everything they're planning for us after January 20th, because if we all stop talking at the same time, they're going to get really comfortable and not have any opposition, and we just can't make it that easy for them. Number 9, I know it's a pain in the ass and it takes extra time out of your day, but follow all of your favorite creators and your news media sources that you follow on a regular basis on other platforms before January 19th in case the TikTok ban goes through. The only real reason they're getting rid of TikTok, and we all know this, is to cut ourselves off from each other. So we need to keep the communication lines open. You need to keep your sources that you trust in your back pocket and do that before January 19th. And then lastly, number 10, stay home, stay safe, stay out of crowds in public spaces because it is a dangerous time to be outside right now. We can talk and fantasize about protesting on January 6th and January 20th all we want. But if that actually happens, we're in deep shit because it is not going to go down the way that you want it to go down. And the people that are about to take power right now desperately want us to be unruly with each other. They desperately want a reason to save us from ourselves. And then before you go, here's a list of things that you can do between now and January 20th to prevent Donald Trump from taking office. Nothing. There ain't shit we can do about it, y'all. You want to pretend like you're being active in the process by just liking a bunch of conspiracy theory videos and pushing a bunch of misinformation. None of that's pushing the needle in our direction at all. Okay. Even if you think Kamala Harris and every other Senate Democrat in Washington has some sort of crazy surprise that we don't know about, there's not anything that you can do from your couch right now to make that happen.
Mel, you had to make a great video. Now I gotta plug you. Go watch it. It's tagged. And she's absolutely right. Uplifting people is not false hope. Where did people get this mindset that giving people a little light in this darkness is a bad thing? What, you want them to despair and fear for what's to come? Just because you'll be okay, you have the complexion for the protection of the collection, the audacity of your caucasity, that doesn't mean you get to tell others to lose hope. You don't get that right. We are choosing to be hopeful. We are choosing to look forward to better days and create spaces to uplift people, to make people feel better, which is exactly what Kamala Harris ran her campaign on. But these supporters want to do the complete opposite of her message. We don't give you false hope. Not here. We give you logic, history, math. But I really can't stand these supporters who say, well, you should be telling people what to do next. Prepare for the worst. We can do both. I can give people hope and also tell them to prepare for the worst. Expect the best, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So miss me with that false hope crap. You lost your hope. And I'm sorry that you did, but don't come in this community making others lose hope. But yes, go watch Mel's video. She did it totally better than me. Mine was horrible. Why are you still here? Go watch her. Trust your gut. Stay hopeful. And no, you're not crazy.
This season of political theater is about to hit its big climax scene. When Congress meets again in just 2 days on Monday, January 6th, the representatives from each state will go in alphabetical order and read the name of the candidate to which their state will pledge their electoral college votes, barring any objections, of course. They go through one by one, raising and settling any objections that they have in their state regarding the election, voting, candidates, etc. Only once all objections are resolved and settled and every state has cast and certified their vote can the election be certified. But here's where things get a little unprecedented. 1. California Senator and Democrat Adam Schiff will not be attending the congressional certification of the election by himself. Reporting shows apparently that he will be accompanied by a DC police officer who was beaten by insurrectionists on January 6, 2021. Number 2, in the National Archives, which is online and free to go see if you want to go look it up right now, each state has to produce the certification of their state's votes as well as which candidate they will pledge their electoral college votes to. And then this documentation is essentially used to run the in-person meeting on January 6th. But as of right now, 21 states have not uploaded anything. 2 days away from the certification. And guess what else? 6 of those are swing states. So, based on everything we just discussed, plus all that money that we found out that Congress put aside to deal with just this, objections and problems with the election, plus the 14th Amendment, plus those 2 executive orders, plus all the other weird stuff that's been going on. I mean, come on. So when you put all of that together, and don't just look at stuff as individual parts, but as a collective whole, we can very plainly see that there are a lot of different forces coming from different directions that are seemingly signaling that behind the scenes, maybe more than we know, there is a very organized effort, an organized, put together, worked out effort to keep Trump from taking office ever again. And I'll admit, this is my first time really closely paying attention to this process, and boy, do I know how to pick them, right? I mean, this year is not exactly normal. So I guess we just need to see. I mean, I'll be trying to post about this stuff as often as I can as things unfold, so go ahead and follow along. But comment below too. I mean, what do you think will happen? What do you hope to see happen, even if you maybe don't think that it will? Yeah, let me know, and we'll see.
You can't convince me that if we can see it, if regular people on here are making their own spreadsheets with publicly available information and are going, yeah, that doesn't make sense, there's no way that higher agencies aren't aware of it. You cannot convince me of that. But here's the thing. A friend of mine was asking me about that whole 14th Amendment thing. And y'all know I already made a video about it. But I wanted to repeat something because it's been rolling around in my head. And y'all know what that means when something won't go away. It means I need to say it, and I need to let you know, so I'm going to say it again in case it got lost in that other video. So when I was reading up on that whole 14th Amendment thing, and I came across the whole E-Count Act, okay? E-word, I'm not going to say it, that was put in place in the 1800s, 87, I think, but was revised in 2022, updated with a few specificities. And that is the same year, my darling, that Joe Biden renewed that pesky little executive order. You know that thing that everyone's saying, stop talking about it, it doesn't matter, except for it was only supposed to cover one test year. It was supposed to cover 2020, and that was it. Okay, because it was Dumpty's thing. And Joe Biden, in 2022, renewed it to cover this one. The only reason someone would do that is if they planned on using it. It doesn't make sense to keep it if you're not going to use it, but I digress. Let's get back to that E-Count Act that I was talking about. So, the same year that Joe Biden renewed that executive order, updates were made to that Count Act. And two of the ones that I found very interesting was A, the one that makes it very clear that the vice president's role on January 6th is ministerial, meaning they don't hold the power, there's nothing they can do to change it. And while that is interesting, considering what happened and what a certain person was demanding of their vice president at the time, it also makes it very clear, quietly and publicly, that that's not a path that would be considered by Ms. Ma'am. You understand? For folks that were like, she can just not certify. She can't. She wouldn't anyway. But they made sure that it's clear that that is not what the power is for. Okay? That was interesting. But here's the extra interesting one. They specified that jurisdiction of that process lies with the legislative branch. It lies with Congress. Meaning, someone, if they are upset with what Congress has decided, cannot kick it over to SCOTUS. You understand? Cannot. The Supreme Court has zero jurisdiction over the big test. It is completely separate. Okay? So, I was like, that's an interesting thing to clarify, but let's think, who would ask for such a thing? Who, in the history of America, would be someone that would be displeased with something Congress did and would decide, maybe let me kick it over to my buddies on the Supreme Court instead. Maybe they can fix it for me. Who would do that? Who was actually, I mean, we've been seeing it online, right? That's something the bots say all the time. Oh, well, he'll just send it to his friends and it'll be fine, right? They say it all the time. He'll just send it over there and they'll do it. He'll just send it over there and they'll do it. He can't do it for that. They put that into place in 2022, the same year that they renewed the order. And don't get me wrong, I believe that SCOTUS never had jurisdiction, but they clarified it in 2022 and made sure it was crystal fucking clear that it stays with Congress. You can't kick it elsewhere. So yeah, that's why some of us are like, we're waiting for the shoe to drop. Because that, darling, is preparation. Okay? That is planning. Okay? Oh, wait, and what was the thing where they added additional penalties for trade secret and stuff like that? I made a separate video on that one too. A lot of that, the D&I report that was on the 19th, where they added some changes that, seemed to apply to someone very specific. And they made those changes on the 19th of December. An interesting timeline. So again, yes, while folks are telling us we're crazy. Okay.
Question. You been to the National Archives online lately? Like straight up. This is the website. You can see it up there at the top. Huh? For the 2024 Electoral College results, it's a whole lot of states that haven't certified. Huh? How do we know? We got this beautiful state of Alabama. They have 9 electoral votes. And right beside it, we have this little PDF. You open the PDF for the state of Alabama, scroll on down, and the state of Alabama has how many electoral votes, all of the signatures from all of the people, and it has this great little certificate over here on the side. But it's a whole bunch of states that haven't certified yet. This is the legal part. State of California has not. Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Mississippi, Nevada, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, Washington, Virginia, and Wisconsin. They're not done. These are due Monday, people. Monday. Right? Don't you need those? So that means that those numbers haven't been awarded to whoever won those states. Because I'm assuming even Kamala won some of these, right? I don't know. I think she won, didn't she win Minnesota? Yeah, not Mississippi. No, not North Carolina. I don't know about them Dakotas. I can't remember. I don't think Oklahoma. I can't remember about Oklahoma. It's a lot of these. I can't remember off the top of my head or who won them. But some of these are hers as well. It's some tampering, y'all. I think. Is that what that means? Ooh, January 6, 2025 might be way more interesting than we think. And they met on the 17th of December. And I thought this was due. I definitely thought it would be due by Monday. Because that's when the certification is, on Monday, right? You can't have that without giving them to whomever the winner was, right? Oh gosh, we're gonna have a contingent election. Google that if you don't know what it is. That was fun teaching and my students. I don't even know the last time I taught that, because I'm like, it was nothing like that would ever happen in history. And here we are, something like that will possibly happen in history. I'm actually excited, except Monday would normally be the first day of school, but we have a snowstorm, because I would have the television on all day, because they really need to see this. They definitely need to see, like, this could be a very interesting Monday. We will see, y'all. All right, so again, this is National Archives. Just put in archives.gov, electoral 2024, electoral-college 2024. And you'll have all your results up here. So, all right, people. I will see you on Monday.
So follow me on this rabbit hole. Overnight, last night, President Biden signed in new EOs providing an order of succession within the DOJ. In layman's terms, if someone retires or steps away or can't do the job, they already have certain people ready to go as backups. It's a lot more detailed than that. You can go read it. It's on the White House website. Here's the thing, though, and everybody's talking about this, not just here on this platform, but Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. Everyone's saying the same thing. Why would Biden put this in when we all know DT will just roll this back once he's sworn in? We all know DT wants to dismantle the FBI, the DOJ, CIA, whatever anti-criminal organization, 3-letter organization they got. It's also kind of crazy to see Biden very chipper about 2025. You would think at the least he would be just a tad bit more worried about what's to come. But regardless of that, why in the world would Mr. Biden put through EOs that we all know DT will roll back the moment he's in office?
We will never cease calling Donald Trump and insurrections.
Amen.
We will never cease in claiming that Donald Trump, an insurrectionist, is not qualified to be president of the United States.
Qualified.
Because we can never cease to call what happened on January 6th wrong and join those who want to say, let's forgive and forget and call it right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, gang, you gotta listen to me talk some more. I'm so sorry. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to let people know, in case anyone here is interested in helping lobby, and in case anyone here that's watching would like to help, what we're trying to do, and it's urgent, as the next Congress convenes today, okay, that members of Congress should apply the power that the Constitution gives to Congress. Of course, we all know about the insurrection clause. And so what I want to encourage everyone to do, and I would say, not that I want to disband this lovely gathering, and this gathering here might not be 10,000 people, but it represents way more than 10,000 souls and spirits who really care about this issue and who really want to see our elected officials honor their oath and not seat these people.
Fun fact. Because Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States, if she is still Vice President of the United States, on Election Certification Day, she, as the leader of Congress, will certify the votes for the election she just won. Yeah, I have receipts. The Vice President presides over the certification of his or her own electoral victory. The most recent example of this is in 1989, when then Vice President George Bush presided over the certification of electoral votes following the 1988 presidential election. In that election, Bush defeated Michael Dukakis and became president-elect. But he was still vice president and, in turn, president of the Senate. It was incumbent upon him to preside over the certification of electoral votes. It is not corrupt. It is not a power grab. It was his constitutional duty, and he would have had to do it regardless of who won. So there we have an incident that set precedent, and not 200 years ago. So there you have it. Kamala Harris, the first BIPOC female president of the United States, will certify the votes for her own election. Happy Thursday.
Good morning. It's January 3rd. In a few of my more recent videos, really since the big beauty pageant contest happened, embedded in a few videos, I have mentioned just a general sensing around the celebration ceremony day that usually happens on 1/20, feeling like that's not gonna happen on 1/20. I still feel that very much. And I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how we're going to get there. I don't know what it's going to look like. I just want to be clear that it very, very much feels like that's not happening that day. Something very bizarre that's unusual for that day would take place instead. It's delayed in some way. My guides are radio silent on any details around it, except for every time I get the sense that that's not happening or is delayed in some fashion, I then feel March. I also am not getting details around whether that means it's delayed until March or just that something else that occurs in March is heavily related to the fact that this was delayed in some fashion. So I'm not getting anything else about how we get there, why we get there. I mean, me as a human being and seeing information, I have my theories, but those are just speculative theories versus what I'm either intuitively getting or what my guides are showing me. So one way or another, this month is going to be wonky, wild, crazy, unexpected. Sit in your own power. Find your way of grounding. Keep your energy elevated and light in whatever ways that work best for you, because you can have the most amazing personal day even if the trash dumpster fire around you is raging. So just, hold steady, and we're just gonna have to see how this all plays out. If at any point my guides do pop back in and give me additional information that is beneficial to the collective, then I will bring that. But I think that my guides are just like, sit back and watch. They're just radio silent otherwise at the moment. So take that for what it is, for entertainment purposes only, just my own truth to share. So see ya.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to do something that is extremely hard, almost cruel, but trust me, you'll be okay. I want you to go to Truth Social. Listen. Go to Truth Social and read DJ T's recent meltdown on January 4th. I know, I get it. This is torture, but there's a reason why. This man had a straight meltdown on Truth Social. So big, I don't even want to read it. He went crazy. Go read it and come back here to give me your thoughts. I just have to wonder, and I got to keep reiterating this. He won. So why is he still losing his mind? What is he scared for? Which is interesting because, once again, he's a narcissist, so he tells on himself. But I had to ask, is this the behavior of someone that played by the rules, fair and square, and won every single swing state? Mandate of the people.
47th President of the United States. That's 18 long days until we get to that important day. And while all of us are praying and many of us are scared after what we've seen, and many of us are unsure if we'll be even able to get there and see President Trump go back in the White House, I'm going to tell you this. I'm giving it my all, and I can't wait to get started tomorrow.
I'm going to give it my all. She says at the end there, I'm going to give it my all. Give what your all? It might just be me, but I don't really recall a time where I've seen Marjorie Taylor Greene so reserved and somber and almost melancholy. Her presence when she's talking about someone who she's glorified for years is completely diminished. The undertone of what she was saying, what I got from it was defeated. And that's just me. Let me know in the comments what you thought of her presence, because she seems defeated. I'm gonna give it my all? Shouldn't she be like jumping through the roof with joy and glee at the idea that the certain person that she admires and looks up to and a couple years back grabbed the cardboard crotch of, shouldn't she be like ecstatic? She didn't seem very ecstatic to me. She seemed like she knows something that is not yet been revealed. And the reason that she's like that, in my opinion, is because this is the end. This is the end. In 16 days, it is the end. It's not the beginning. It's the end. It's like that Doors song. This is the end, my only friend, the end. That one. Johnson got 218. Hakeem Jeffries 215. He barely squeaked out the speakership. Of all that supposedly they accomplished that we're supposed to believe happened a couple months ago, this is the best that Johnson could do. With the support, by the way, of a certain person, I'm not ever saying his name again, that person. With his support, this is the best they got. And meanwhile, what was it, a month ago you had Randy Paul talking about Elon Musk being the speaker? I'm sure Randy Paul's dad is super happy that his son, who once ran against this person I'm not talking about anymore, has now resorted to clamoring to billionaires, and not just any billionaire, the richest man in the world, to be the speaker. You know, the guy who ran in 2012 on voluntarism, anti-war, anti-big government. His son's clamoring to the richest man on earth to be the speaker, has absolutely no political background. I'm sure his dad's ecstatic. Who knows? The amazing thing to me is the infighting, the bickering, the rage, the attacks against people within the MAGA movement, in the hierarchy of certain intensity of your MAGA-sness, all that we've been seeing, it's because it's the end. This is the final curtain. This is the last call. And we're here to see it. We've been waiting for 4 long years. Longer than that. 8 years. Some of us have been waiting to see the demise of this master, magnanimous, grandiose, malignant criminal for decades. And it's going to happen, in my opinion. It's going to happen. And this is why Marjorie Taylor Greene is like she is. She knows something that has yet to be revealed. This is the end.
Top of the morning, Divergence. I'm getting ready to go train and kick my own ass. Something for you to take into today as we get ready to start the next week, the final stages of Elon Musk's PSYOPs attack against the American people to subvert their minds and divide our nation is underway. You will start seeing pictures of Elon Musk with his children. He's going to paint himself as this, look how emotionally beautiful and available I am to my kids, all to get you to stop looking at the fact that he went on the Peterson show and he's got another child that is alive who he's declared dead, that serves as his entire justification for subverting the minds of the American people because he's so anti-woke that he wants to destroy America.
Let's try this again. I tried to post this earlier, but TikTok had a problem with it. And I'm not really sure why they had a fucking problem with it, given the fact that a newborn infant could literally point out to you that Donald Trump is a Russian asset. It is so fucking obvious. But for TikTok purposes, this is entertainment purposes only, okay? Now that we got that out of the way, this is Artem right here. And Artem is a Russian billionaire who tweeted in 2016 that without his intervention, Trump would not have won. Trump met Artem back in 2013 at a Miss Universe pageant that happened in Moscow. And apparently was the original dude who came up with the concept of Elon Musk being the president, given that with just one amendment to the Constitution he could be. And the whole reason I'm showing you this thread to begin with is because apparently when Donald Trump was president, Artem here was tweeting instructions to him Yeah, let's go through that. So he tweeted right here, I think that it is time for White House Chief of Staff John Kelly to retire. We need a more compromising person. I would like to draw your attention to the date here. It says 12/7/2018. Would you look at that? His last day in office was January 2nd, 2019. Bye, John Kelly. Some of these tweets were not available to be translated on Twitter, so he did it separately. But this is the tweet. It says, Trump will solve it easily. A protracted conflict with the Democrats if a state of emergency is introduced. It will allow us to put an end to the confrontation with the Democrats in the American Congress over the Constitution of the Wall, and will allow us to achieve funding for a project bypassing Congress. Guess what happened next? Trump declared national emergency at the southern border so that he could continue building his stupid wall. The next set of instructions was that the second meeting of Donald Trump with Kim Jong-un will take place in the next 60 days. By the way, Vietnam is a great place. He tweeted that January 24th, 2019. Oh wow, would you look at that? Do we remember the Hanoi Summit? I remember the Hanoi Summit. It also happened in 2019, February 27th through the 28th. That was within 60 days, am I wrong? Guess where it happened? Vietnam. Hanoi, to be specific. Then, Elon bought Twitter. He is absolutely not wrong. Felix is a whole other fucking bag of worms, but guess what? He tweeted that Elon for president 2024. Remember this from earlier? Yeah, this was on the same exact day. And as you can see here, Artem did have a relationship with Vlad P. He wished him a warm happy birthday, and that he will always be there for him. Now let's talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because that guy, Artem, he was saying that it's time to remove RBG. And the day that RBG died, guess what he tweeted? Please accept again all of my condolences. I'm sorry I could not convey my condolences in person. Right before his lovely condolences he sent to everybody, he posted this. Who is that? If you guessed Amy Coney Barrett, that is correct. And Artem here threw his full-fledged support behind Amy Coney Barrett by tweeting, I think the U.S. Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit will be good for everyone. Would you look at that? Guess Trump agreed. Wonder where he got that idea from. This was another tweet that couldn't be translated on Twitter, so he did it separately once again. And he said, I think Trump will simply revoke access to classified information for having ex-officials who accused him of having ties with the Russian Federation. This will end the witch hunt. Do it, Donald. Stop making the circus and the coven. They mistake kindness for weakness. Time to work. Oh, by the way, this tweet happened July 23rd, 2018. Would you look at that? By August 15th, 2018, President Trump revoked the security clearance from former CIA Director John Brennan and went forth to threaten more people, like McMaster here, who was calling Donald Trump out just like John Brennan for being a fucking idiot. Wonder where he got that fucking idea from. Oh, wait. Probably from Artem here, where he said soon Bro Trump will fire his national security assistant, Lieutenant General Herbert McMaster, but replace him with ... Oh, but Bro Trump wasn't gonna stop there, no. He had to do Oleg a favor, and if you don't know who Oleg is, that was the one dude who was extremely involved in the fiddling of our 2016 election. So we had put sanctions on him, and guess what? He tweeted, First victory, American senators failed to reach a consensus on the release of Roussel from restrictions. The resolution, which proposed to block the lifting of sanctions from the companies associated with Oleg, did not receive the required numbers of votes. Great! And then Artem tweeted, while Trump will be communicating with Kim Jong-un, Republican William Barr will receive a secret report from Mueller, on the basis of which he will prepare his own report for the U.S. Congress. At the same time, the secret report will not be made public at all and will not even be shown to congressmen. Cue Kamala Harris when she was a senator in the Intelligence Committee, grilling Will Barr, who had no idea what the fuck was inside of that report.
Okay, friends, this is going to be the video that I think a lot of you have been waiting for. This is purely a hypothetical video. I've been very nervous about sharing this with you all. I think it's really important that you see this hypothetical information. So first off, let's start with something not hypothetical. I'm going to show you a news article. So this is an article about the election in the country Georgia. And there's a section in this article about something called a Russian tail. And it says that there is an international election watchdog group that says they were able to independently reproduce signs of fraud in the Georgian election. This includes a statistical abnormality called a Russian tail, which is a suspicious spike in voter distribution often observed in Russian elections. This is what that looks like. So first of all, the way to read this chart, I don't know how they do it, but when I'm about to show you mine, the way I've got it is this represents the candidate's share of the vote per tabulator or precinct, whatever we're looking at. And this is the number of votes that were in this percentage for that candidate. So on mine, I think it's a little different on this, but on mine, we would say, okay, so this candidate has this many number of votes in all of the precincts or tabulators where there's about 55 or 60% of the vote for that candidate. Okay, now we would expect for this to look like a bell curve. And right here we see a bell curve. That's a nice bell curve. But then we see this other extra little bitty bell curve right here. And that's not normal. And that is called the Russian tail. Now I would like to tell you a very hypothetical story about my cats. I have 2 cats. I've got a cute little tuxie named Hope. And I've got a big boy named Whizzer. He's a really big guy. And he's got a really big tail, and one could call it a Russian tail. And Whizzer has a habit of stealing treats from Hope. And we're going to look at some data about all of the treats that Whizzer has stolen from Hope in November 2024. First off, here's a normal chart showing no treats being stolen. Each cat has a pretty good distribution of treats amongst them, and we can see because there's a nice bell curve for each one of my cats here. Okay, the blue is Hope, the red is Whizzer. Okay, got it? This year Whizzer's been a bad boy, and I'm going to show you how the distribution of treats he's stolen looks a little different. So here's my cat Whizzer being a very bad boy, stealing treats from Hope, and we can see it because here's the sort of a bell curve, and here's a Russian tail. Okay, and the reason that something like this would happen, by the way, is because treats have been taken from here and pushed that way. So the treats that should have been here are now over here. So whenever Whizzer has a higher percent of the treats, he also has significantly more treats than when he has lower percentages of treats. Now, I wanted to make a simulator to show what it looks like when Whizzer steals treats from Hope. So first off, I wanted to show what would happen if I reverse engineered Whizzer's treat stealing habits. And so what I'm going to say is in treat containers that have over 250 treats in them, I'm going to say we're going to give 22.5% of Whizzer's treats back to Hope. This is what that looks like if I do that. There's a bell curve. You see it? Next, I wanted to see if I could take normal treat data and show this result happening. So this is AI generated treat data, and I'm going to say that in treat bins that have over 1,200 treats in them, I'm going to give 48% of them to Whizzer from Hope. We have a Russian tail. Next, I'm going to do that same thing. This is that same 2016 normal looking data that we looked at a second ago. And now I'm going to show what happens if I give a percentage of the blue person's votes to the red person. And by votes, of course, I mean treats. So this number is going to be bigger than the other one because this is looking at precinct level treats and not tabulator level treats. So don't worry about that. But look what happens if I trade over 47% of the treats in bins that have over 1,000 treats in them. There it is, the Russian tail. So that's what happens if you take normal data and apply this treat sheet, if you will, to the normal data. Now, as I said, this is, of course, purely hypothetical, and Whizzer would never steal treats from Hope. He's a very good boy. He would never do that. So let's keep this hypothetical, please. I hope you enjoy that treat sheet data that I have just shown you. Actually, the funny thing is, Whizzer really likes treats, but Hope does not. Anyway, hypothetical, thank you, bye. If you'd like to learn more about my cat Whizzer and his crazy tail, Please go to Dire Talk's YouTube channel where he has a very great video about this that you can share far and wide.
Word to the wise. The FBI cannot get involved until after the results are certified. Here's your proof. We have a process for a reason. And this might be why the Dems, the blue team, is very quiet and they're waiting. If we're expecting an audit or some kind of a redo of a count or an investigation, it most likely won't happen until after everything is certified. It has to be that way. Otherwise, we end up sounding like DJT. And we're better than that.
Tomorrow's the big day where we find out who actually is our president. The Electoral College will certify their votes and we will go from there.
Guys, get this. Kamala Harris is actually legally allowed to reject the certification of Donald Trump because of his January 6th insurrection. Legal experts wrote in an op-ed for The Hill that the certification of Trump's election could be legally rejected because of the very little used oath-breaking insurrection clause of the 14th Amendment in the Constitution. They say that the evidence pointing to Trump's role in the January 6th Capitol riot is overwhelming and Democrats must stop him from taking office by blocking the election certification process. The clause basically states that if you've taken an oath of office before and you engaged in insurrection, then you're disqualified from holding office again. The Supreme Court basically didn't have enough evidence to say that Trump is an insurrectionist, if you will, but Kamala Harris can still legally block the certification process of Trump. And then she will replace Trump as president. The chances of this actually happening are pretty slim due to Democrats' respect for democracy and the democratic process, but it's still fun to have hope.
All right, I'm gonna say this in like 40 seconds. Trump is not gonna be president. There will not be an inauguration. Elon will be convicted for interfering into the election. There was like sugar on my forehead. What else? MAGA's just going to continue to get ripped apart. People are already realizing they made the wrong decision. Those that did vote for him, although it wasn't the majority, and he did not win every battleground state. There it is, 51 seconds.
Apparently last night, Donald Trump hosted a dinner where he bragged to his supporters about his efforts to overturn the last election, and he said that he still has plans to pardon anyone who attended the January 6th riot at the Capitol. And you would think that because January 6th anniversary is coming up, that he would want to distance himself from that, but I think it just goes to show how the rich have no fear of consequences in this country, especially since he'll be back in office and he can't really be punished for his crimes anyway. And a Wall Street Journal report just showed that companies like Apple, Ford, and Intuit, which all made statements denouncing January 6th, have donated a record amount of money to Trump's inauguration fund. And I think this is going to mark the beginning of a sad chapter in American history where something like this can get glossed over when it's recent public memory.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Yeah, so the super interesting thing about that flurry of Dark Brandon executive orders regarding succession, or the line of succession to specific key roles is that, yeah, that's absolutely something that the next team could come in and just like overdo with the snap of a finger like that. It's almost a waste of time to do them, unless they're there just in case something happens that interrupts the process and leaves us in an interim where there aren't people going into those seats while some things are figured out, and it just happens to have been recently clarified who's going to have to fill those roles in the meantime, because the current, administration, they will have to step down. And if there's any ongoing things that have paused other things, you know, then those orders would very specifically cover just now, just you know, just this potential upcoming window. And would that not also be a reason for someone to want to have a victory party the day before? I'm gonna let that roll around in there. Yeah, I'm gonna chew on that one a little bit. Huh.
Two months ago, the American people elected Donald Trump as the 47th President of the United States of America. Thank you for that very generous applause. It's okay. There are no election deniers on our side of the aisle. You see, one should love America. One should love America when you win and when you lose. That's the patriotic thing to do, and that's the America that House Democrats will fight hard to preserve, because we love this country.
The peaceful transfer of power is one of the most fundamental principles of American democracy. As much as any other principle, it is what distinguishes our system of government from monarchy or tyranny. Today at the United States Capitol, I will perform my constitutional duty as Vice President of the United States to certify the results of the 2024 election. This duty is a sacred obligation, one I will uphold, guided by love of country, loyalty to our Constitution, and my unwavering faith in the American people. As we have seen, our democracy can be fragile, and it is up to then each one of us to stand up for our most cherished principles and to make sure that in America, our government always remains of the people, by the people, and for the people. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Today, fencing and barriers around the U.S. Capitol, 4 years after a mob of pro-Trump forces attacked it, stopping the counting of Electoral College votes and delaying the certification of Joe Biden's victory.
The eyes of the world will be on the United States Capitol to see what happens here on January 6th.
This time, a clear perimeter established around the Capitol complex, police shutting down multiple streets for tomorrow's midday proceedings, where Vice President Kamala Harris will oversee the counting of President-elect Trump's 312 Electoral College votes and her own defeat. Unlike in 2021, when prominent Republicans objected to the results, tomorrow
there will be no election denying on the part of the Democratic caucus.
Well, this is very exciting. This weekend, Trump on stage at Mar-a-Lago still admonishing his former Vice President Mike Pence for not rejecting Electoral College votes 4 years ago.
Those votes could have been sent back as they should have been able to.
Trump speaking at an event Saturday night that included some of his most prominent backers in those efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Those allies who also spoke included Jeffrey Clark, John Eastman, Rudy Giuliani, Peter Navarro, and Michael Flynn. Trump giving each man a shout-out from the stage.
What they've done to Rudy, but Rudy's going to come out on top. It's just a question of time.
Vaughn Hilliard is joining us now. And Vaughn, we talked about the weather heading to Washington. So what if that snowstorm keeps some members of Congress from making it to the chamber tomorrow to vote?
Right, Hallie, there is a very minimal chance of impact on this process unless half of Congress is not able to make it in. And even then, there is no apparent widespread plan among Democrats to object to these results. Hallie?
Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
Today is the calm before the storm.
Literally.
Literally, there's a big giant storm that's going through a great deal of the country, but not us.
Not here. Woo! Although it is frigid out today.
Don't worry, we'll get our turn. Yeah. Teresa commented yesterday about the Electoral College certification. And we took a peek on the archives.gov site. And
we'll link that down below.
We'll link it down below.
Wherever you do that
so you can
thing.
Look for yourselves. 21 states don't have an actual signed certification letter uploaded yet. Now that's that they're not uploaded yet. Now, does this happen every election? We don't know.
We don't know. We've never looked at the site before. We've never come across this before.
Went back and looked at the 2020 election, and they were all done in December.
Now, this year, the date was Christmas Day, but you would think maybe the next day or the next week or something. But, you know, people get sick, people are on vacation. We don't know.
Do we think that lawsuits are part of the issue? Well, there were 60 lawsuits going on in 2020, and that didn't impact it at all.
No.
Per the website, actual certifications need to be delivered, quote, by the last Wednesday in December.
Yeah. And this includes Massachusetts too. Massachusetts, and we voted for Harris, and
Massachusetts isn't there, and there are no lawsuits going on here, and we voted for Harris.
So it's very curious, and not one mention on mainstream media.
If you guys see a mention on mainstream media, please let us know, because we haven't seen any yet. Maybe the person who uploads the document was out sick, because maybe they're there but just haven't been uploaded yet. Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
But what we do know is that DC is about to get a foot of snow.
Yeah. Good luck, guys.
DC can't even deal with 2 inches of snow, let alone a foot.
No.
So we'll see how that all works out tomorrow.
As for the victory rally on the 19th, it's costing the taxpayers crazy amounts of money for security. The people attending have to pay to get in.
And the taxpayers, of course, were footing the bill for the security. Now, you know, after a little thinking, we realized, you know, the grifter's got a grift, right?
Grifter's always got a grift.
Grifter's always got a
Crimer's
grift.
got a crime, grifter's got a grift.
And he seems to be a little bit of both, right? So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And no matter what, it's going to be an interesting week. Yeah. And if you're in the storm zone,
please be safe.
Please be safe.
Have your snacks ready. Milk and bread.
Milk and bread. Bread and milk.
Bread and milk.
Seriously, be prepared.
Yeah. Be safe.
Because if there's no place to go,
let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Well, we finally reached the day, y'all. It's January 6th. The very long and awaited January 6th. So today we get to have the election certified for Donald Trump, for our new incoming president. And we all know how the last one turned out. So it's been a long time coming. How are y'all feeling? Like, it seems like it took forever for this day to get here. I'm wondering how bad DC is as far as the weather and this polar vortex thing. I'm down in Texas, and like, it's 32 degrees here. We're not forecasted to get any snow or sleet or anything like that because we're on the coast. So, but it's the big day. The big day's finally here. I don't know if y'all are excited as I am, but I'm going to be looking at the comments. So let me know how you feel about today. Let's go, y'all. Let's go.
Hey, folks. We pulled it off. We pulled off the live today. For everybody that showed up, thank you so much. What do you guys think about that? That shit was crazy, wasn't it? So for everybody else that didn't show up, I don't know what to tell you other than talk to the people that actually showed up and let them tell you. I appreciate it, folks. Thank you. I wanted to come on here and talk about a couple folks have pointed me in this direction maybe a day and a half, 2 days ago. Some other folks even within hours of now. National Archives. So you have an assignment to do tonight before January 6th tomorrow. Go to the National Archives type in 2024 Electoral College. The results. And you look for yourself and see which states have not even put their count forward to the National Archives. That has to be done. I looked last night. Guess what really stuck out? And this is what folks, I guess, wanted me to see also. The swing states, none of blank. Other states, yep, some of them showed. The swing states, blank. What does that mean? I don't know. But it means something. So what I did, of course, I did my due diligence. And I went back and looked at 2020. I looked at those. And guess what? All the way down, filled out perfectly. Now, I don't know whether, is that something that they do at the last minute? Is that something that they can't do until the 6th? No, I thought that was all taken care of. I thought all that count was taken care of just a couple days ago, right? So why is it not showing up on the National Archives? It's strange, isn't it? You know what that means. So another thing I just found out, I heard this, but I didn't know whether it was a rumor or not. Adam Schiff of California, he's going to have a special guest. He's going to have one of the Capitol Police there with him that was actually severely hurt on January 6, 2021. This is unprecedented. So what is that going to do? What is that? Is he going to use him as a thinking point? Wow. And then we have all the other stuff. We got the executive order stuff. We've got the 14th Amendment, all that. So I just went to the grocery store after I finished my live today, and I did pick up this phone that I'm on right now, by the way, for the folks that you guys know what's up, that showed up to the live. To gather up some food, because we have a snowstorm coming to be here tonight. And I want to be in here on my own lockdown, checking out January 6th, and I have something to eat, and I won't be able to get out because it's supposed to be a snowstorm all day tomorrow into the night. Oh, man, that's something, isn't it? What a mess. But I'm loving it. Before I get off of here, so my mission to do the live and actually take my ass to the Capitol. So I'll let the folks know that didn't show up at the live. I was to go there to see how things were being set up for tomorrow, the 6th. And when I popped up out of the subway, I ran into an officer and I, excuse me, sir, could you tell me, are we able to get over? Because I literally come right up to the Capitol, South Capitol. And he says, nope, the Capitol literally right now is locked down. You cannot get to the Capitol grounds. I said, oh, snap. Okay, well, thank you. That. And I'm looking in the camera and I'm telling the folks that were there live and I'm expressing it. See, this is why I'm here. This officer just said, and I'm looking, I can see it's locked down. That was the reason that I went. That and that alone, to see what kind of security was going to be going on. So he did say, if you go down and make a left, make a right, make a left, make a right, and you get over, and you should be able to come up onto the mall. And I did. And when I got up to the mall, even that was sectioned off with different gates, police lines, and actually said on the fence, police line. So they are preparing. And also, there were police officers actually on guard, standing on guard, tandems, two, as in two, standing at different places on guard already. Okay? Also, I did not see any drones. That does not mean there were no drones, because drones can fly very high, but I also know that Washington, D.C. is a restricted airspace, particularly over the White House and the Capitol area. All right, so that's just the background on what happened on the live. But there was so much other. Didn't we have fun? Didn't we have fun, guys? Yes, we did. Maybe next time you guys will show up. I tried to give you a heads up. I tried to put a date and a time. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well. I'll see you guys in another video. Take care of yourselves.
On this January 6th eve, I would just like to remind all Congress members that Donald John Trump is ineligible to be certified as the President of the United States of America because of his participation in the insurrection, in violation of the third section of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. Conduct yourselves accordingly. America is watching. The world is watching.
Well, friends, tomorrow is it. Tomorrow is January 6th. And a lot of people in my orbit are feeling a bit nervous about things that are going to be going on, and I think that's for a valid reason, okay? Because I too think that we're a little bit cooked. But as you're going throughout your day, I just wanted to let you know something that will be bringing me a bit of joy, and maybe it'll make you chuckle as well. I cleared my calendar for tomorrow because I just really felt like I wasn't going to be in the right mental headspace to do much of anything at all, if I'm honest with you. However, I forgot to reschedule one appointment. My wax appointment. That's right, on one of the most heavy news days of 2025 thus far, and that's saying something. I'm probably going to be naked from the waist down when we receive whatever news we are going to receive. Literally caught with my pants around my ankles. That's all I had to say. Godspeed.
Elon Musk, everybody's favorite president-elect, took to Twitter last night and said that if Donald Trump had not won the election, civilization would be lost. And here's how you know that's not true. Human history. The pages of every history book you've ever read, every lesson you've ever learned about not just America, but about the world. Tyrannical, tiny men like Musk and Trump have existed all throughout human civilization, and they get relegated as a footnote in history. Because see, the human story marches on. No matter what happens today, January 6th, the certification of the vote, Donald Trump is not writing the end of this book. Elon Musk is not writing the end of this book. See, these authoritarians try to convince you that if it were not for them, you would have been relegated to ruin. And what I am here to convince you of, because all of history tells us this is true, is that we, the civilized people, continue on, even in the age of terrible men.
Fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, nigga, fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, nigga, fuck Donald Trump.
If you are doom scrolling or catastrophizing about today, fuck it, follow me. I'm kind of doing it too, but I'm doing it in a different way. America the series, yep. Today is going to be one of the, I suspect, weirder fucking days of the entire season. So, shit. It's midnight. Happy Insurrection Day. Let's do this.
It's January 6th, 2025, and I just feel like something bad's gonna happen today. And it feels like maybe all year, every day, it's gonna feel like something bad is about to happen. I'm just so sick of living in a reality where it feels like I'm constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. Here we go.
Yes, Mr. Whizzer has been a very busy boy. Let's look at Florida. Specifically, let's look at Miami-Dade because we have another one of those tales going on here. if you look at this data as a whole for Miami-Dade, it does create a nice bell curve. But then you look a little closer, and here's the issue. So we start with, you know, a hope, little bell curve for hope, and then we go whoop, when we crater and come back up and go down. We don't see a nice, you know, consistent bell curve. And then over here, we see this like laggy, and then the second that Miss Ma'am starts to go down, Mr. Whizzer starts to pick up here. According to my AI, that is not possible. And it got me thinking about 2020, because in 2020, of course, Whizzer was really upset because Hope got more treats than him. He really didn't like that in 2020. So let's look at 2020. So here's 2020. This was made by user Pingy, who has been helping me with this data. It's a lot is going on in 2020. So I thought, this is really interesting right here, that there's this mess here, and then there's this breakthrough where Hope kind of breaks through here, despite this spike here. So I said, I wonder what happened with the vote types. Because my hypothesis was that maybe, you know, the in-person data showed that Whizzer was getting more treats, but then so many people sent treats in the mail to Hope that it didn't matter. And sure enough, when I isolate just the in-person data, this is both early vote and election day, we see the same thing. We see start of the bell curve and then a crater, and then he picks up, and then it's the same shape. And then when we look at the mail-in treats, we see that there's this huge blue-colored mountain over here to the right, showing that the support and all the treats that were given to Hope were overwhelming in the mail. Now, for what it's worth, 2024 mail-in data looks very similar to 2020. There's the two of them side by side, but what we're seeing is that these are they're separated, and then these have gone like 5% towards the middle. There's fewer mail-in votes, treats here than there are here, but this, remember, was the year of that whole thing that made everybody send in mail-in votes, treats. So the last thing I wanted to check on with this data was that there was the reproductive rights amendment on the ballot in 2024. And my other charts, and I'll show you. I know this is a lot to look at, but stay with me. So my other charts show we're looking at the orange and the blue. Orange, I hope. Orange is yes votes, and blue is Harris. So we're looking at a really strong positive relationship here between yes votes and Harris. And right here, even like Harris starts to cross over and overperform the yes votes. But as Harris votes go up, so do yes votes. And you see that vice versa. As Trump votes go down, so do the no votes. So tell me why. This is what it looks like when I put their distribution charts over each other. We would expect them to match up, as we just saw in the other chart. We would expect that as Harris support decreases, so do yes votes. But instead, we see that the yes votes complete that bell curve that Harris started, and now we have a complete bell curve. So I believe that the blue should match up with the green. Similarly, if we look at Trump and no, it looks like Trump's entire plot has been shifted over from over here where it's supposed to be. And if we isolate Trump, well, isn't that a sweet little tale going on right there? So in conclusion, I think Whizzer's been at this for a while. And just for the record, I checked this work with an AI analyst, and I spend a lot of time challenging this thing and saying, are you sure? Did you think of it this way? And still, we came up with this is effectively impossible for election data. And that's the first time that I've gotten it to say that. Usually it'll be like, actually, maybe no, but it's pretty sure here.
All right, how y'all doing today? I went on the hellscape against my better judgment. And if you take a peek over there, it's like you cannot find a door quick enough to get out. But I did see this. It was interesting. This is by Rick Taylor. If you don't know who Rick Taylor is a former U.S. Senate candidate from Ohio. And this is what he said. He's saying, based on what I'm hearing regarding the January 6th election certification, there might be objections, but it will strictly be performative. For example, we're about to see a piece of political theater that is strictly designed to placate us to think they're protecting democracy. And this other person says here, actually, the problems are real. 21 states have still not certified their elections. By this time in 2020, all states had certified. This would, of course, indicate problems with the vote counts at state level. And we know we've been seeing from the archives, the National Archives, that there are states in there that haven't done what they're supposed to do. And we don't know why. We're not understanding why. But I wanted to see what y'all thought about this. He's saying that there's supposed to be some objections based on what he's hearing, and he may be well connected still, he may not. But it looks like we are in for a little bit of drama tomorrow if he is correct. But I'm hoping that if there are objections, that they're going to be real. I feel like they will be real. I don't have any reason to believe that they would do this just for drama and to make us think, you know. I just don't think that way. But then the other interesting thing is this. So old girl over here, MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, January 6th, we certify President Trump's election. I'll be here no matter how much it snows, and so should every single Republican. But here's the thing. She's upset that a lot of the Republicans are leaving or have left because she's saying that they've been told. Many members of Congress left town this weekend even though they were told to stay. I wonder why. So anyway, that's that. I don't know. What are you guys going to be doing tomorrow? I may go live both here and on YouTube during that time, just so that I can be in contact with you guys and we all can, you know, be in contact with each other, and, you know, we can just kind of sit together through it and talk it through. And let me know what you think if you're going to be available during that time. I don't know. Looks like we headed for some drama, y'all. I mean, but we always knew we were headed for drama. Like, we knew we were headed for drama. We knew it. So a lot of people are nervous about exactly what's going to happen. But again, you guys, no matter what, we're going to be okay. But we're just going to wait and see, and we're going to be in it together. All right? That's all I got. Let me know what y'all think. Tell me in the comments.
So crazy breaking news that nobody's talking about. So 22 states have not actually submitted their electoral college certificates yet. Of those 22, 6 are swing states. And I know you're asking, how do I know this? Because it's public domain knowledge on the National Archives. Anybody can go take a look. And when I first saw this, I was like, oh, maybe this is like a normal thing where they're not quite uploaded. No, they get uploaded right away. And you know how I know this? I went back to the Wayback Time Machine, which is the Internet Archives, right? And I typed in the Electoral College Archives from 2020 and went to January 1st, which was 5 days before certification. No, everyone had theirs uploaded. Everyone. Every single state. Which leads you to wonder, why have 22 states, 6 swing states, not submitted their certificates yet? 26 hours before certification.
Good morning, Blue Lulus. It's January 5th. And it's really starting to look like all of the delulu that we've been experiencing is contagious, because bigger creators and other people who have thus far denied that anything will happen are starting to wonder if we just might be right. And it's not just us over here, it's people over there too, and they are clearly shaking in their boots. We discussed yesterday about the fact that that former secretary advisor, as well as Bleach Blonde She-Hulk, have come out and expressed their concern about whether or not they will be able to get to this day. And then it's worth noting that the case that was brought against the Joker that had its sentencing indefinitely suspended, they changed their mind about that. They said that the wheel of justice must continue to turn, and so the Joker is reportedly required to attend court on January 10th for his sentencing. A lot of people are saying that in the event that they decide that prison or jail time is indicated, that would likely be suspended until after he left. But that could also pose a really big risk for Gotham City as well, because in the event that they were successful and he did stay there for this many years, that would just mean that he would have more motivation not to leave, because in the moment he left, he would go to jail. That seems like that's a recipe for disaster and civil unrest. So that to me tells me that they think that he's not going to be there in the first place. I think the Joker thinks he's not going to be there too, because he went on a straight up megalomaniacal rant on his Joker Central yesterday. You should go check it out. It is many truths, many paragraphs, and he is just railing against every single person who has ever accused him of a crime. Everything he said was a lie. He's just like, oh, I didn't do it. I didn't take anything. I didn't steal anything. I didn't falsify anything. I didn't lie. When all of these cases, like he was determined by a court of law that he did. Absolutely. These cases took years to build. They took weeks to decide. And he's guilty. He was found guilty by a jury of his peers. The innocent until proven guilty, he was proven guilty. So he's not innocent. But of course, the language that he chose to use was very insightful, very angry, very violent. And that's typical of somebody who is experiencing a narcissistic fugue. He's rallying the troops, and he's making people believe that because he has been caught doing something wrong, that actually they have been caught doing something wrong, and that if he's the victim, so are you, and they're trying to take something away from you personally, even though it is him who's just being held accountable for the bad things that he's done. But he's incredibly good at that. He has been from the jump. And so previously I'd said that if something happened, I was unworried about whether or not there would be unrest. I don't think that anymore. They're really trying to whip people up. And the fact that they have this rally that is scheduled to happen on the day before this, So if you're one of the people that wants to go there to counter protest against this happening, don't do it. There will be other times and other ways that you can do that, but that's not safe, and that's not a good idea, because in the event that things go for him in that direction, they will just be there to cause enough chaos to institute the bad rules where everybody's rights get taken away on the very first day, and I think that could be all part of the plan. On the other side, they seem very hopeful, right? T'Challa's speech, even though everyone is focused on the fact that he said there was no EDs, he was like stoked about it. He was smiling and happy and saying that he was looking forward to the coming year. And why would he say that if we were going to slide backwards into abject authoritarianism? Maverick posted this grinning photo of him walking through the corridor of the Casa Blanca saying, looking forward to all that's in store in 2025. Okay. And did you guys see Wonder Woman's Instagram yesterday? She posted this video that was very hopeful and saying, just because I'm the first person to do something doesn't mean that I'm the last. And it was showing all the ways that she's like brought people together and that she always fights for justice. There's like people marching saying that they must do what they need to do to save our democracy. Okay, and then at the end, the last line of the video said, I hope y'all are taking notes. All right. So I think that's very hopeful, and it's interesting that they seem like they're feeling okay, and the Joker team seems like they're gearing up for something bad. I also watched a video from Nicole. I'll tag her down below. She's been putting a lot of the data from the costume contest into a bunch of different models, and she said that when she was researching the costume contest fiddling overseas, that an independent agency was able to determine a distinct statistical pattern that is associated with cold country fiddling, and they call it a cold country tale. And she put a bunch of data from our areas into the same model, and you can see that exact same anomaly. And instead of having a bell curve, it basically has like one of these and then one of these, which shows that like that that these tallies from one side were taken and then it doesn't follow a perfect pattern. She explains it way better than I do, but I highly encourage you to check it out. There's a lot here. There's a lot happening, and we won't know about any of it until tomorrow. So in the meantime, definitely drink some tea, take a nap, some salt bath, bake some cookies. Don't go outside because it's sub-zero out here. It looks like straight up Antarctica outside my house right now. But no matter what, keep your eyes up, keep your feet on the ground, and I will see you next time. Oh yeah, and Yogi's doing okay. He's really pissed at me and he won't let me anywhere near his incision because he thinks I betrayed him by taking him to the vet, but he's doing fine. Oh, thanks for asking about him, you guys. I really appreciate you. Okay, now I'm done. Take care.
Yeah, there's a lot of states that are on that uncertified list, or they have not submitted their certifications, that are like curious. Although I do think some of the counties that went redder than they expected, they might have had some, so there may be some questions there. But what I do like is that I think when they go alphabetically through the states, California is the first state on the list that does not have certified, so they get to go first with their objections. That means Adam Schiff of Adam Schiff fame gets to go first and go off. And this might be why he has the DC officer, Daniel Hodges, who was there last January 6th with him in attendance. I was listening to other people posting today about that if he's bringing him just to watch him get certified, that'd be really cruel and pretty awful. So I have a feeling that California is going to start this thing off with a kaboom, and I'm kind of excited about it. I'm dying to know what their reason is for not submitting. Like, I'm dying to know what the actual, like, issue that they have. What their, because it has to be, like, debated and voted on. So they have to have a good reason. And I'm pretty sure they want to keep those numbers in. So maybe it's just something performative. Maybe they're just doing it to, like, start it off with the way they want it to go, kind of control the energy of it. But for him to bring the DC officer back in to the scene of one of the most, probably the most traumatic day of his life, it's got to be for good stuff, right?
The peaceful transfer of power is one of the most fundamental principles of American democracy. Today at the United States Capitol, I will perform my constitutional duty as Vice President of the United States to certify the results of the 2024 election.
Yeah, the only problem with that is Donald Trump is not constitutionally eligible according to the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, Section 3 specifically. And I've been screaming this for a long time, right? And unfortunately, these people do not have the backbone to get out and properly utilize this constitutional clause, which clearly states that if you engage in insurrection, you are not constitutionally eligible to be president of the United States. And of course, the Supreme Court ruled that Congress must act. So our lack of action here is actually an admission. An admission that, no, we don't have a preventative measure to prevent people who tried to overthrow the government from regaining positions in our democracy. And no, it wasn't serious enough to uphold our oath to the Constitution. The language in the Constitution is clear. Your lack of action speaks volumes.
Come on, y'all should already know what I'm going to say. I told you she's going to certify the thing. That's not the play. Remember those documents, those changes? Remember we said that role of certification is ministerial, meaning it's not up to her and her alone to stand in the way. That whole belief was what's his face. Okay, that was him threatening his own Veep and insisting that he do something that it wasn't in his role to do. And for whatever reason, some of y'all over here thought that was a viable option, that she alone was going to stand and be the one to stop it. And we keep saying it can't be that. It literally can't be that, for the same reason that a lot of y'all are refusing to say the things out loud that we've been saying. Because as soon as you do, as soon as she does, then she's the problem. She is crazy. She's this, she's that. You understand? So that we knew she was going to certify whatever they come out with. Okay? That's not a surprise. Not a surprise.
Hey y'all, apologies for not catching up with the comments. I will do that. I'm just getting today ready so that I have all day tomorrow for the popcorn time. I may have ADHD, but I try to be very disciplined so that I have my shit together. But I wanted to talk about something very important. I see people trying to focus a lot on the deadlines of the certification. And as I said, although that's official, it's kind of not. It's flexible, and I know that's very annoying. However, it's beyond us. Now, our care is in the why. Why is it that it has not been submitted? And what you need to know is that it should be submitted before the 1 p.m. January 6th joint session tomorrow. If it is not, then two things will happen. One, more likely one, is that there is legal disputes. Two, and a very hard reach, but GOP may want to do this, is to basically forfeit the electoral slate, but that would be taxation without representation, so that's unprecedented. However, that is an option if they didn't want to be found out for their fraud. Now, I'm not quite sure how that would play out because, again, this has not happened. It's unprecedented, and I know everyone is tired of me saying that word, but it is. And not saying it would promote that I have lived through this. And although I do have immense background in conflict, peace, and security, what's important to note is that this is uniquely American. Never in our American experience has there been a candidate who has engaged or comforted in an insurrection. An absolute GOP Congress and GOP basically judiciary who bends down and kisses his ring. What does that mean? That if there is undisputable evidence and that is rejected, what does that mean? That means legislative judicial coup. The only reality where it will be processed without a sort of coup to be found is if there is no evidence presented, or if there's evidence presented and that is not sufficient. Kind of like Donald Trump. He said, hey, there's fraud, and then he put a couple of fucking voters who weren't supposed to vote. That isn't sufficient. So I think it's very important rather to focus on the small little detail of legal technicalities, because that's a lawyer's job. That's an attorney's job. They're going to do that. Our job is to really look at whether what's happening, whether the why is going to impact the final outcome. Because even if they don't submit it, if that final outcome does not change the actual electoral results, then how does that benefit us? Because, again, upon invoking the Electoral Count Reform Act, a House of Rep presents an objection. They require at least one senator to sign and submit that with them in writing. Now, even if we find it in just one state, I'm not saying one state, but I'm being kind of conservative right now, right? One state, that doesn't change our outcome, does it? So we require more. 2, 3, depending on what those electorals have. Enough to bring him down below 270. That would trigger a contingent election. Now, I would say it would be a hybrid of interference and a hybrid of insurrection, because insurrection would be incredibly valuable, especially during a contingent election. We spoke about how the House already impeached Trump twice. It doesn't matter if the Senate didn't. Who chooses the president? The House, not the Senate. Choosing Trump for the House when he was impeached 2 times already would literally, virtually just dissolve the rule of law, because it positions a reality where not even Congress itself follows the laws that they uphold or the justice that they themselves promote, which the insurrection, that was a supreme violation of what? Article 6 Supremacy Clause, which I will do a video about tomorrow morning so that we're prepared and we know that even if nothing happens, even if the worst happens, we have resolve. Trust in that, because what happened with slavery? Sure, Civil War was about state rights, right? But ultimately, what was it about? The South literally just pretended they were part of their own country. That was not allowed. Why? Because they would only be allowed to do that if the federal government had virtually dissolved itself through such a trigger as an insurrection. That did not occur, which means that those states had no legal authority to secede. But you know who would have a legal authority to secede if Trump is inaugurated? Because the federal constitution would virtually dissolve? California. The 5th largest economy if they were a country. A lot of the blue states who would have interest in seceding because we're basically better off without the union, hold the economy to maybe convince GOP to look at evidence and actually be in accordance with the evidence, but also the Constitution. I know I'm very coded when I talk about the second phase of whether if the GOP rejects it, but that is lawful conflict, and that isn't immediate, that isn't automatic. For example, Donald Trump wants to come into California, send in all of his minions in order to deport people. We say no, he does it anyways. That is lawful conflict, because that is the provocation and violation of our state constitution. So what I want you to keep an eye on is whether they are published, and the link is on my bio for the National Archives. So just keep an eye on whether they are published, because we're gonna go crazy just thinking about all these other technicalities that we can use, when in fact the question is, why is it not there? And I kind of spoke about some theories in my last 2 videos, but I just wanted to put this out to the world right now so that you're not all anxious. In general, I do have anxiety, so I know how you all feel. I have to really force myself to understand that there are things that I can control, things that I cannot control, including the fact that I do not have the security clearance to understand any evidence. But we can look at what's happening and think of, hey, this is sketch and this is unusual. Again, I like to be founded on objective facts, on objective truths. However, I cannot negate that there are fishy things that I cannot explain and that do not connect to our reality, to where Democrats would see a presidency for Trump coming to fruition, at least not without any severe challenges. So trust in that, and we will come back tomorrow.
I saw it. That's her job. I also saw what POTUS said, Biden said. That's their job. They're telling you there will be a peaceful transfer. A peaceful transfer. What do you want them to do? It's like what happened with Hakeem Jeffries. What do you want him to say? What do you want them to do? You want them to go in there and just start flipping tables? That would make them like the other people. They're better than that. There is a process. There's a process to this. So no, she's not going to go in there and start flipping tables. She is going to do her job. Whatever happens, we will move forward. And look, I'm going to say this too. Guys, I feel it. Some of you are scared. You're dreading. If you need to disengage after today, disengage. And like I said, if you want to get mad at me, get mad at me. Come up here, rant, cry, flip stuff, blame me for giving you hope. Do it. I'm a man. I can take it. But we have to be practical and pragmatic. You did everything that you could do. Now, as of right now, it's still early. You can call your representatives. I just did a video on it. But in terms of if you're expecting POTUS and VP to do anything, no. They are going to do a peaceful transfer. Whether that's right or wrong, that's what they're going to do. At this point, they are strictly there for ceremonial reasons. That's it. It is in the hands of Congress. And I hope you realize that. I am here regardless of what happens. Now do know, if the result doesn't go the way that I want it to go, yeah, I might need to step away myself, but I will be back. And if you need to step away, step away. Step away, protect your heart. But yes, that's what this means. Hopefully that brings you some kind of solace. And if it doesn't, once again, we're here. So, trust your gut, stay hopeful, and know that you're not crazy.
All right, we don't have to go through the weekend wondering what the hell is happening over there, because at least they knocked it out. That was a nail biter. That was hard to watch, but I'm glad that it's not going to be in limbo, because we need things to keep moving forward. Am I surprised that he got the numbers? Not entirely. Not entirely, you know. I was hoping we would get a bipartisan surprise, 100%. And the vibe on the blue side is like, it's something. I don't know what to do with that yet. They have this energy and this vibe to them that I'm trying to put my finger on. That, you know, I think maybe we'll see why, you know, in an upcoming episode. But at least we don't have to worry about things being stuck in the works and moving on to one of those weird side scenarios where nothing can move forward because we can't get anyone to agree on a speaker. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. We will see what happens throughout this day, throughout the weekend,
and on Monday, because there are so many pieces, and we aren't sure how they're all going together yet, but they all go together. Especially with all these boom booms that just keep popping around, that they keep finding and stockpiling, and folks trying to plant them places, and like, yeah, we're gonna see what happens.